Now, this next guest has turned obstacles into fuel along his journey. From 100K years to 100K months to now 100K days. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to introduce you to Aditya Soma, the realtor investor that has taken over Windsor and defined his very own market. Ladies and gentlemen, Aditya Soma. So what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, brother.
Maybe you could introduce yourself quickly.
Sure. I'm Aditya Soma, founder of Win City Real Estate Team, and I'm a real estate agent and real estate investor here in Windsor, Ontario.
Aditya, do you remember the first time you made 100 grand in a year?
Yeah.
Dive in, man. Tell us a little bit
Sure,
about it.
yeah. It's in 2019 when I first started as a new real estate agent. The first year alone, I made 350,000. So that was the first year I have ever seen six figures.
So you said your first year as a real estate agent, you did 350,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, so many people don't even do that in real estate, period.
Couple of years prior work that I put in helped me a lot. One is I was already investing in real estate, started like 2 years prior that. And also I was into, networking, a lot of networking events, built up a lot of connections, read a lot of books about real estate, mindset, different things. And also started a content creation on YouTube. So all those things, helped me to achieve that goal.
So hold on, you started real estate content before you were even an agent?
Yeah, I started on the day I got registered for my license.
That was kind of what inspired the content.
Yeah, so literally I started the content journey because I decided to quit my job and I had a huge debt. And I didn't know too many people here because I'm an immigrant, whole family back home, no friends or family, here who are in the process of getting real estate. I said, I was doing a lot of research and can someone like me do sales, where to replace my salary. Most of the fingers pointed towards the content.
So what were you doing before even getting into real estate? So you mentioned you had a salary. What was
I was an IT guy. I was a software developer. I worked for 5 years. So as soon as I got my license, that's the minute I gave my resignation.
Did you come here like expecting to be a software developer?
Kind of, yeah, as a software developer, but I never not even imagined about real estate.
When did your mind start changing and you start getting interested in real estate? Because you mentioned you were an investor before you were even an agent.
So this is in 2016 when I was going through very tough time with the finances. Lot of responsibilities, and I was looking for other ways, like how to make some extra money. I didn't know the 100 ways to make 100K. So I was just driving Uber, working in restaurants, after the job, just to make some extra money, but nothing was helping me. And all of a sudden I bumped onto this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that book opened me up gateways, made me think towards real estate, because on that book he always talked about like assets and rental properties.
Wow. So so what made you want to start creating content? If you're like, as a software developer, the types of content that you consume as a real estate investor, probably completely, you're in like a different algorithm, right?
Completely different. In 2016, when I was bumped onto this real estate, the rental properties from the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, from there onwards, my whole browser search, everything is real estate. Yeah. How to buy rental properties. My whole content search was going on related to real estate from there onwards.
At what stage of your journey, your investing journey, were you on when you decided to become a realtor?
I mean, I was still like a beginner. Like I got like 4 or 5 properties as small duplexes. Not that much of cash flow. It's probably like $1,000 cash flow. Not much of equity because I was still early, right? It's only just 1.5 years into the game. It's just a leap of faith I took. I thought, I can make this real estate happen.
So what made you think that you could do that? Because there's a lot of software developers, still a lot of realtors, but from the outside looking in, it might seem like the skill set is completely different between the two.
Yeah, they're completely different because, there I'm an employee and only dealing with softwares, computer programs. Here I'm dealing with people, different challenges every day. What made me to, decide on this side is, one, I really need to make money, a good money, to have the kind of life I wanted. Two, I knew that whole 5 years I was working as an IT guy, I knew I don't belong there. So that inside instincts, and I'm always a guy, people's person. I always enjoyed talking to other people, always. I used to feel live when I'm surrounded with people. When I was in front of computer, I was kind of dying inside. So that instincts and plus the motivation to make better living for me and my family, kind of combination made me to take the leap of faith. Of course, I was scared to death. And my wife probably remembered this day, like I was like holding her and like I couldn't sleep almost like till 4 5 a.m. because I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Because I don't know anyone here. Will someone buy with me? Will someone sell with me? So much fear, because and then I already had like 150 debt, $1,000 debt. That's crazy amount at that time, because I didn't know how to pay those. So if I quit the job, now I don't even have income coming in. So it was scary days. But I think the leap of faith, where I was surrounded with people who were actually making things happen, helped me to see that future. Okay, you know what? If I just make one sale, I can pretty much match my salary a month. If I make two sales, I can double my salary.
So how did you even get that first sale? Like, you must remember that first transaction.
Oh
like
yeah.
it was yesterday, dude. Walk us through it.
Good part is that first sale, the first client, actually he's my agent now.
What?
Yeah.
Like on your team?
On my team, yeah.
Okay, so
he quit his job, who was working for 12 years. Now he's doing full time. So
No way.
I know the first sale, how it happened.
Wow. How did you get that first deal?
This guy, he was moving from some other province and he didn't know anyone here. One of our mutual friend connected us, saying, hey, I know Aditya, he might have some accommodation for you for temporary basis. And my friend called me up. I said, oh sure, come in. I have a room. I used to rent room rentals and my room was vacant at that time. He was there for like 3-4 days and we became friends. And that relation was like 2-3 years before I got my license, and the relation continued. So he reached out to me when I was like 2 months away from the exams. He's like, Aditya, I think I want to buy a house, but I want to wait until you get your license. He literally waited for me for 2 months.
No way.
He could have got property without my help, but he's like, you helped me when I needed, so I want to wait for you.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What do you think led you to be so successful in your first year? I know agents right now that have been in here for 10 years that aren't doing those type of numbers, right? You did this in your first year.
Biggest thing is I was investing in real estate. I own, this house, I bought it like 2 weeks before I quit my job. I had like 4 or 5 properties by this time. So I don't just, sell what I know. I sell what I believe in. I sell what I buy. So I'm a byproduct of, I know the fruits of real estate. So I think that gave people to work with me. Okay, this guy knows and he have done it. He knows the pros and cons. He knows the people. So I think that belief, that my work that I put into investing helped me to, do that kind of volume.
And how much volume would you have to do in order to make like 315 commissions?
I remember the exact number of transactions. I don't remember the volume, but 55 transactions.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
In your first year?
Yeah.
Wow. And would you say most of these transactions came from the online ecosystem that you had built up, or?
It's a combination of both, because, especially the first year, most of the people I already knew. 2 years prior to I got my license, I was going to networking events. I have, made friends on my social media. So they've been following my content, because, my YouTube probably getting 10 views, 20 views, 30 views at this time. But people already who knew me, already seeing me what I'm doing. Because all I was doing is just sharing my journey about my first property, about my second property, who I am, this and that. I think combination of both social media and the physical connections that I built helped to achieve that kind of results.
Let's say you had no following, no nothing. How do you think you would start over today?
Honestly, I would start the same way.
Nice.
Social media plus the physical networking events. Combination, I don't think I can find a better way, because I haven't met any agent yet who have made that kind of transactions in the first year.
Yeah, congrats, man. Now, do you remember the first time you made 100 grand in a month?
Yeah.
Dive in, man. We got to
The second year.
The second year, okay.
Yeah.
So what type of volume did you do that full second year?
It was a little over $500,000.
Holy.
I haven't sold any of my properties except like a couple of them, but it's through sales. Yeah, the investing I made in recent times.
Yeah.
But only through sales.
And would you say it's always been online, the same ecosystem that you've been pouring into,
Yeah.
pouring into?
I think I felt like I cracked the code. So which is, I have to make content all day long and meet more people. That's the, kind of a cheat code I felt that, I have to keep doing. So I never stopped that. Like, I never stopped making content. I never stopped going to networking events. So that always, like, it's a compounding effect. Never stopped having people coming over to us, working with us. And actually second year itself, I hired another agent who also made over 6 figure.
What was that like, because you went from being the 100K earner to all of a sudden being the 100K teacher. Talk about some of those, lessons and some of the things that you help them implement, or you think work well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of challenges. If I don't say there's no challenges, it's going to be like the most boring answer. But also not so true, because there's a lot of challenges, especially when you're hiring. Now I have to train, and also on the other side, I'm also learning the social media. I'm also learning the sales. So it was like very, very hard. What helped me is the content again, because we have more than enough people that I can handle. That's when I hired an agent, because I can only eat so much. And after that, I started to miss calls. I started to realize that people are not able to talk to me because of amount of runarounds I'm doing, because at this time I don't have a team. So that made me think, I think it's better to share, give some profits to someone, and instead of trying to make a dollar, just make maybe 50 cents or 40 cents. Let someone make the other, so that now I'm helping someone and also helping myself. So the whole process is kind of a learning lessons for me.
What was that first hire? Was it an assistant? Was it an agent?
No, I mean, so first hire was my better half.
Okay.
So I convinced her quit her job, because in the first year itself, when I was like doing 55 transactions, right? Like, so the first 4 or 5 months, I already like needed help. The back end paperwork, calls, a lot of things. There's like real estate has million things, so much overwhelming, especially in the beginning. Very, very overwhelming. I begged my wife, like, look, I think I need your help. And she was helping from the beginning. She was doing full-time job and part-time helping me. But after like, I think 8 months or 1 year into the business, I'm like, I think I need you full-time. I took her to a nice restaurant. I remember that day. I said, can you please quit your job? Thank God she quit, and she started helping me. That was my first hire.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess it goes assistant and then additional agent is kind of like,
yeah.
as your assistant, does she also assist the other agent as well?
Yeah. So now pretty much like we have a 5 back-end office team, like
Wow.
Transaction coordinators, admin, and social media.
Wow.
Because including me, 7 agents.
Wow.
So all the agents' paperwork, the back-end work, everything taken care by the team, including the social media.
That's amazing, man. It seems like you've built a really cool machine, and excited to dive in a little bit more and learn how you're operating this. Have you ever made 100 in a day before?
Close to 2 days ago, last 48 hours ago, we made more than 100K.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that look like as a realtor or the head of a real estate team?
We got a pre-construction project for a builder we have to sell. Builder was blown away. Like, he said, you know what, if you sell 5, I'm going to buy more lots from developer. He didn't have any documents, anything ready yet. But he just told me, if you can get me like, 3 or 4 or 5, so that gives me confidence to go buy more. I said, sure, let me talk to my team. And we started making calls. Just within 48 hours, I had all 5 sold.
Now, do you think that's the most that you've sold in that period of time?
We might had more, but I never really thought into that specific numbers. But from last 2 years, every month been over 100K.
I'm curious, right? When you first started, did you ever think that it would get to this?
When I first started, all I thought is like, I just want to double my salary and continue to buy some rental properties to achieve financial freedom. And never dreamed, not even in wild dreams. Sometimes I feel like, is this really real? I'm coming from a small farmer's family background where, always my parents suffered, have enough to provide education and food on the table. Mm-hmm. We were always in the depths. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's a very, very big thing for me.
And now, what point would you define as you hitting the financial freedom?
Actually, I made a video on this. I looked at all our cash flow from all the properties that I own. It was over $5,000, because my cost of living is not more than $5,000.
When you first start, you're like after this thing. It's like you're chasing after this this thing that you see, but then all of a sudden you achieve it. Mm-hmm. Then what happened?
Very good question. Honestly, I went through a kind of an emotional stress, because all of a sudden I lost motivation for 6 months. Now everything seems like I have it. I always thought of like achieving financial freedom. And once that hit, and once, me and my family was like, happy with literally like all the basic needs, and, I have my family here and all, the motivation kind of gone. And I could see that in myself, like my days are not that motivated. My work is not as productive or as creative as it used to be. So I have to question myself, and I spoke to only very few handful of people that I really trust. Everyone pointed towards, now you have to find what's your new why, because that was the why I started with. So now I need a new why. So, and one guy, he was like aspiring agent. He wants to become an agent, and this guy came in and met me to just see how much. He told me how much I inspired him through my content to, get his life back. So that story kind of moved me. I'm like, you know what? Wait a minute. I'm just being selfish here. I was just thinking about me and my family finances, but there are people who are depending on me. There are people who are actually getting inspired and making, because everyone have their own unique story. Everyone that have their own unique community. So now for me, what motivates is like, now I have a community that around me who are actually suffering, back home here, who are kind of coming from the similar background, who thinks that all this freedom or making good money, having a better life is only for people who actually come from a wealthy family, or who has great talents or this and that. But I want to show them, hey, it's not. It's actually, if I can do it, you can do it, because I don't have any freaking special skills. I'm just a very normal, ordinary Joe, I would say.
So what would you say that new fire is?
So for the next 3 years, I set up a goal for myself. Like, I want to help at least 5 to 10 agents in my Vincity family to make $1 million, each of them, for themselves.
I know you mentioned that you're from India, but maybe
Yeah.
you could paint a little bit about a little picture
Sure.
of what that looked like and what coming to Canada really meant for you.
Yeah, so I'm from a small village in South India, where my parents are farmers, and my dad, he worked his whole life like crazy, but never saw any financial better life. Always in debt, always struggling to just give education and food for family, because of lack of education, lack of directions. No one there to show some light. There is a different life out there that you can do whatever you want to do. You can achieve things that you always wanted to, not just give up on those and just go with the flow. That's where I belong. And to come to Canada for studies was the biggest challenge actually for me, because my dad, like I said, he never had finances. He borrowed every penny for 24% interest per year just to get me here.
Holy, so you got a whole family that's riding on your back right now.
Oh yeah, that's why I was always looking for opportunities, ways to make money. That was the biggest driving factor for me.
So what was it like being an immigrant in Canada?
Honestly, I see here and there, little things like, people calling out like, go back to your country. But at the most part, like 95% of the times or 98% of the times, I love the opportunities and the kind of environment here. I haven't gone through that kind of a dark phase where people trying not to hire me because I'm brown, or not to hire me because of my accent. Actually, it's the other way around. I felt like because of the color and the accent, I got more opportunities, because there is Canada is full of immigrants, so most of the people can relate to me because I'm an immigrant. So it was actually helped as a fuel for my journey.
Beautiful. Aditya, I really appreciate you sharing that. It's been nothing but an inspiration to me to watch your journey. I'm excited and grateful that I have an opportunity to watch it from the courtside seats. You got any namaskar, my guy?
Yeah. One final word I can say
Please.
is, if I can do it, you can do it.
Actually, before we even go there, right? Like if you could go back to that Aditya before he even got on the plane to come to Canada, like right as he was there, if you could be the person on the plane sitting beside you, giving yourself some advice.
That's a great question. Now, first thing I would say is there is a lot of opportunities out there. Don't go with the mindset, oh, I gotta find a part-time job, just work in this factory or their restaurant, this and that. What kind of unique abilities I have? How can I start to showcase that to the world using social media? I would start my social media journey back then. Make those social media content as much as I can and start to showcase my natural abilities, natural skills I have.
What do you think your superpower is?
I'm very easy to relate to other people, and I'm very easy to understand other people's, relating to people, connecting to people.
Before we rock out of here, man, where can people find you?
Instagram, YouTube, with my full name, Aditya Soma.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Peace. And I hope you enjoyed meeting Aditya just as much as I did. And I know he's got lessons that everybody can learn from at every stage along their journey. So once again, I'm Javon.ca, and you're tuned in to another episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K. I'll see you next week. Peace.